Yeah, good.
Hello, everyone. Make sure I am good. It's good to see everyone as I'm in. Just trying to set up, make sure I'm good. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. I'm excited to be in the room. I just want to also um, say that it's a pleasure being on here. To share my vision and story with you guys. This is the month of December, and I'm excited about this 12 days of Christmas. This is just an amazing, amazing opportunity that's been provided for us authors. So I'm blessed to be here. So I'm going to start today by just going ahead and talk about both of my books. I won't be with you guys long because I am considerate of everyone's time. I know we all have things that we're doing, but I just want to make sure that I am sharing both of my stories with you all so you guys can know what's coming up or what you can purchase. I'm super, super excited to have this opportunity to share with you all. I think being an author is an amazing thing because we're able to share our different stories and talk about our life experiences through our creativity, which is writing. And writing pretty much saved my life because I was able to find my passion through my painful experience. A little bit about me: I am Deonte Bolden. I am a playwright. I am a filmmaker. I am a director, producer, award-winning author, and I am also a host because I'm on podcast DNA podcast. But it was the writing that really helped to save my life. I lost my brother in 2006 due to muscular dystrophy, and it was a difficult time for me. Being able to, lose someone who meant the world to me, and we were just super, super close. But through that, I was able to find my purpose, and to be able to know how to cope with the pain was being, writing, because writing is therapeutic. And that was what really saved my life through that experience. Just being able to express myself through writing and share my feelings. And with men, most of the time we suppress a lot of emotions. But for me, it was when I found the gift of writing, which I was able to use that as an opportunity to vent my frustration and talk about a lot of different things. So I want to share both of these amazing publications with you all today. And hopefully, you will be able something will resonate with you today, and you'll be able to purchase one of these amazing books that I have. My first book I want to talk about, and I'm going to read a little excerpt from, is different. I'm sorry, Purpose Pains. Purpose Pains is my first publication that I wrote in 2020. I won an accomplished literary award from this at the Peach Theater Awards, which is the annual award show from Pishanda Du Bois, who is in Los Angeles, California. She saw the amazing feedback that I was getting from this book and the process with it, and I was awarded this for this amazing publication. And Purpose Pains is my first book that I wrote in 2020. And basically, Purpose Pains is a self-help guidebook to help people to overcome their own personal pain and trauma, while sharing my own personal testimony. With this book, a lot of people see, the glory of what it is that I do because I post a lot of things, my accolades and things that I have going on and a lot of my accomplishments, which I think the one and only God above for everything that's been given to me. But people don't understand your story, and I think it's very transparent with people, and people love transparency when they can know how did you get to the level where you are. What's the story behind what it is that you do? What's the story behind you being so motivated to do what you do? And that's what I wrote, Purpose Pains. In this book, I wrote break down the acronym of PAINS. To help you to see pain as not just a struggle, but to understand that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Everything we go through is for a purpose, a divine purpose, and God allows us to go through things so He can be able to use that for His glory through our story. So I break down the acronym of PAINS. For instance, P stands for preparation. A lot of times we want to be successful in life. We want a lot of things to happen for us. We want to be successful. We want to get to new levels, but we're not prepared for the level that we were asked for. We pray about a lot of different things, but God is also looking at us like, you know what? You have to be prepared. So when we go through trials and we go through things, it's preparing us for where we need to go. I use Lion King a lot in the Bible as a reference. Simba, we all know the story of Simba. He wanted to become king. His dad Mufasa told him that one day he was going to take over Pride Rock, and because of that, he got so excited he even wrote a song and sung a song called "I Can't Wait to Be King." But Simba wasn't prepared because he had to learn a lot of valuable things. He had to understand that just because you're a king don't mean that you disobey and you go and do what you want to do. There is a certain type of standard that you have to uphold. You have to learn how to be brave. He had to go through an identity crisis, understanding who he was after experiencing the death of his own father through a stampede, and he had to understand that he can't run away from his problems. He had to face his problems. So there was a lot of things that Simba wasn't prepared for, but he had to go through a process. And a lot of times we're not prepared for the process, and we have to be through the process of pain. We begin to develop our character. We begin to develop who we are, and we begin to understand a little bit more about ourselves to prepare us to where we need to be. And then A is adaptation. No, we don't get comfortable, but we understand that at the end of the day as well, we have to learn how to adapt to our situations. For example, I lost my brother. My brother's no longer here anymore. So now I had to ask myself, how do I move on from this? The Bible says that weeping may endure for night, but joy comes in the morning. We have a moment where we're sad and we're down, and we go through that moment of depression. We go through that moment of being, of sadness. But then we ask ourselves, how do I move on from that? How do I move from this place into a place where I can learn how to adapt to the changes in our lives? So part of purpose pains is learning how to adapt to what you're giving, learning how to deal the cards that you've been given. Maybe you had to go through that divorce. Okay, now I'm not with this person. Well, how can I adapt from this? How can I use this situation to my advantage? How can I move forward from this situation? And that was, for me, learning how to adapt was finding myself in writing. Now I can express my pain. I can talk about my story, and I can go through this and learn how to adapt to the changes in my life. I stands for illumination. One of my favorite processes I talk about in the self-help book is learning how to understand that we say a lot that tough times reveal true characters and true colors of people. Many times when we go through our lowest moments, we feel like everyone has abandoned us. I felt like a lot of people had abandoned me, but what really God was doing in my life was shifting things in my life and moving certain people out of my way. When we think of illumination, we think of light, and I find this is the part where God sheds light on people in your circle. Because when we're going through the moment of darkness, it gets really dark to the point where we start to not really see people for who they are, but it's that illumination process. As we go through that process, then we begin to see people for who they are. Because sometimes we're attached to people who are part of our history and not our destiny. And God is just moving people out and moving the right people into our circle. And I love the illumination process because in my lowest moments, I was able to see people for who they were. I was able to move out of friendships that were no longer serving me purpose. Because a lot of times we are attached to people who, everyone who's rowing in your boat with you ain't rowing with you. Some people are drilling holes, like a great quote says. And it's through that illumination process that you begin to see people for who they really are. And not only are you a good God shining light on people in your circle through the illumination process, but He's shining light on you. Sometimes we have to get the light and do a self-examination process where we say, what am I need to learn about myself during this painful experience of losing someone or going through whatever it is that you may be going through with? What do I need to learn about myself? Maybe I need to have character development. Maybe I need to work on my attitude a little bit more. Maybe I need to be patient a little bit more. Maybe I need to do a lot of work on myself and figure out what I need to do to change in my life. Because a lot of times we like to point the finger at other people, but we steadily don't understand how to or have gotten to that point in our lives where we point a finger at ourselves and say, I need to work on me as well. N is the navigation process where we really just figure out, we understand that no matter what we go through, and that's the great thing about being a child of the King, is that we're never off the course that God has given us. I love my GPS, and my GPS is my best friend in my car because I'm bad with directions. So my GPS tells me where to go when I feel like I'm lost. But no matter where I go, the navigation process that I talk about in this book, it always directs me back on the route. I may, go off course a little bit. I may detour. I may have to, do a U-turn, but I get right back onto the course in the place that God has for me. So part of the navigation process is really just saying, you know what, even though you are going through a difficult time, and even though you are going through this painful experience, you are still on the course that God has for you. We're not that powerful to the point where we are getting off course, and you're always going to find yourself back on the path that you have for yourself. And I always say that for people because, being on Clubhouse and a lot of these different apps, people share their stories and they feel like, well, I did bad in my life. I went to jail. I had a criminal record. I was on drugs. I was an alcoholic. All of that is a part of your story. And in the purpose pains, I talk about that no matter what you go through in life, no matter what you experience, that you are still on the path that God has for you, and you can still be successful, and you can still take that pain in your life and turn it into purpose. And that's one thing that I want people to understand after they read this book, is no matter what we go through. I thought after I lost my brother in 2006 that life was over for me and I wanted to end my own life, but I realized that was a part of the purpose and the plan that God had for me, so I can be able to be where I am today, to be able to write Purpose Pains, to be able to write Differently Able, which I'm going to talk about right after this one, so I can be able to be and write the plays and all the different things that I have. And I'm speaking to someone today that, as you learn in life, everything that you go through is for a purpose, and that's why I wrote this book. And finally, S at the end is for supplication. Supplication is basically just saying, you know what, sometimes when we get to our lowest moments in life, and I'm breaking down the acronym of pains, you guys, P was preparation, A was for adaptation, I is for illumination, I say N is for navigation, and finally S is for supplication. A lot of times we go through our lowest moments in life and we experience pain because God is trying to get our attention. I say in the book, a lot of times we're so distracted by so many different things in our lives. We got gadgets, we got our cell phones, we got Clubhouse, we got Twitter, we got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got television, we got Netflix, we got all these different things going on in our lives. We have our daily routines, our tasks, and our demands on life, and life's demands on us. We work, we're business owners, we're entrepreneurs, and sometimes it's like we don't give God enough of our attention. And sometimes it's through those painful experiences where we're able to clear our minds and really see God for who He is. For instance, when COVID happens, many of us were able to just really sit down in the midst of all that turmoil and the people that we lost. God, bless their families. But it was a time for many of us to reflect, and it was a time that many of us could really see God for ourselves. And I believe that sometimes God allows things to happen because we're so busy, and it's like, you won't get my attention until something happens. And I can honestly say, losing, my loved one and my brother so close to me, it brought me even more closer to God, because it was like, it was the only person that I could truly lean on at the time. Of course I have my mom and different people, but sometimes you just, get to that place where it's like you're ready to throw in the towel, and it's through that, your own personal relationship with God, where you're able to find your true strength. So through that, I say supplication is just that process where you say, you know what, I'm going through a difficult time right now in my life, but I'm able to see God. And had it not been for God, and that's what many of our testimony is, had it not been for God, I wouldn't be where I am, because I've been through so many different things. People have been drawn closer to God when they're going through a health crisis or a health scare, or when they're down to their lowest moment. It's where we seek God the most, and that's a part of learning the experience and learning the purpose through the pains. So that's a little bit about purpose pains. I think what I'll do as well, before I really just truly put down this book and talk about quickly Differently Able, I'm just going to read the introduction to you guys, and then I'm going to talk about Differently Abled, and then I'll get off here because I don't know if somebody else is coming right behind me. But here's the introduction to purpose pains. And again, this can be found on my website, www.deonteboldenproductions.com. It's also available on Amazon as well. So here we go. As we travel on this journey called life, we often face obstacles and challenges, which often leads to our most painful experiences. Life is constantly changing, and sometimes life will throw us curveballs, and we end up playing with the cards that we are dealt. However, we serve a God who does exceedingly abundantly above all that we ever ask or think, and with him all things are possible. Ephesians 3:20. According to the Lexical Dictionary, powered by Oxford defines pain as highly unpleasant physical sensation caused by illness or injury and mental suffering or distress. Pain comes in many forms such as death, injury, illness, disappointments, rejection, divorce, or breakup. I don't believe anyone likes to experience pain. Personally, I don't like to experience the feeling that come along with it. I'm the type of person who will ask God to let me see the blessing and not have to go through the pain. The truth is, pain and blessings work hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. It's like a woman in childbirth. She will experience the labor pains while continuing to push so she can experience the bundle of joy that it produces. Pain is just a process. God wants us to understand that we have to go through the process so we can experience the next phase. What if I told you that the pain that you have been experiencing is all a part of God's divine plan? What if I told you that you had to go through the challenges so God can prepare you for greater? If you read the Holy Bible, then you know that many of the greatest apostles and prophets had to experience pain before they were fully used by God. Joseph was one of the great prophets in the Holy Bible. He was favored by his father Jacob, and his brothers were jealous of him and decided to sell him into slavery. He was then falsely accused of rape and imprisoned, but it led to his purpose, which was to eventually rule Egypt and help to provide for his family. Job was one of the wealthiest men mentioned in the Holy Bible. He lost it all, but it taught him to keep his faith in God even during the midst of his suffering. Moses killed an Egyptian and had to turn against Pharaoh in order to fulfill God's plan, but it led him to lead the Jews out of slavery and into the promised land that God promised the Israelites. Finally, Paul was a persecutor, but it didn't stop him from leading him to his purpose to preach and spread the word. Even though they had some painful experiences, all of them became historical, favored, anointed, and purpose-filled. And those are in Genesis references. Every day is a new day and opportunity for us to grow. The Bible says in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee as prophet to the nations." God knew each one of us before we were born, and he knew about the pain and suffering that we would have to endure before we would be able to reach our full potential. God will get the glory from our story. The next time you face any obstacle, just know that God is setting you up for a major comeback, and he will get the glory from it all. I want to encourage you to stay the course and don't throw in the towel, because God has a plan for you. As long as there's still breath in your body, then your job has not been completed and you still have purpose. I believe that the spiritual meaning of pain revealed to me by the Holy Spirit will be released to you as you read these chapters. You will eventually be encouraged, and when the enemy tries to discourage you during this difficult time, you will now have the tools you need to conquer his tactics. And that's the introduction. And if you want to read more about this, again, this is on my website, www.deonteboldenproductions.com. I think it's also in the caption. And then you could also purchase Purpose Pains by Deonte Bolden on Amazon. And if you Google it, it'll definitely come up as well. And finally, before I get off here, I want to talk about my amazing book that I released this year called Differently Abled, which is part of my Purpose Pains and God turning my pain into purpose. Again, once I told you guys, I had a brother who had a disability. He passed away in 2006 from muscular dystrophy. And through that, growing up, I grew up in a single family home. My mom and dad divorced when I was 4 years old. I don't remember a lot of my mom and dad being together, but I do remember just growing up and having a brother with a disability. And growing up, I felt like I was at a disadvantage. I felt like God had really cheated me a little bit, because I had a brother who wasn't able to fully walk a long time. He stopped walking around 10 years old. My brother was 5 years older than me. He around 10, he stopped walking. I was about 5 years old, and most of my going to school, my brother was confined to a wheelchair because he eventually stopped walking. And if you don't know, muscular dystrophy, it weakens the muscles and immune system, and he finally stopped walking. And growing up, I used to felt like I was cheated because he couldn't go out and walk and get on the monkey bars with me and go down the slide with me. You know, I had to be the big brother to my big brother, and I regretted that a little bit growing up. But as I grew up, I started to admire my brother even more because even though he was in a wheelchair, he didn't let that stop his joy. He was still a pleasant person, and he still was in a wheelchair, but it was almost like he wasn't in a wheelchair. And we would always have conversations, and one of the conversations I remember my brother saying to me that I thought over the time of COVID to write this book was, if I could only just walk again, life would just be so much better. And I thought about that over COVID, and I was like, wow, I really can do something with that, you know, because and it was around September of last year. My brother passed in September, and his birthday was in September. And I thought about him a lot, and you know, I have my years. Some years when I think about him, I cry. Some years I think about him and I smile. And last year I just smiled because I thought about the conversation. I was like, I want to write a book because growing up, I used to always, you know, be amazed that children didn't know how to interact with my brother. They would often stare and tease and look at him, or they would often go up and don't even say hi to him and be like, "Why are you in the wheelchair?" And I was like, it would be great to just write a story that really just brings awareness to children with special needs, to give them a voice, to tell a story from their point of view, you know, because these are conversations that they have. And then also show gratitude, you know, because, you know, these children in this book, you know, their desire is to be normal. And I wanted to bring awareness to this and just tell a beautiful story to make children with special needs feel like they are superheroes, because many times I don't see a lot of books where they highlight children with special needs to make them look like superheroes. I want these children to look at my book and be like, wow, I am powerful, you know. And I'm planning to do a lot of great things with this book. Eventually it's going to be an animation film, because I just feel like this beautiful story needs to be told in so many different dimensions. So Differently Able, it's a children's book, and it's about these four children. So we have King here, who's inspired by my brother. He has muscular dystrophy. His desire in life is to be to play basketball, but he feels like he can't because he's confined to a wheelchair. We have Adore here, who has dwarfism. And she wants to, you know, have a boyfriend in school, you know, but they don't take her seriously because she is, and she feels like she's not good enough as well because she's, you know, a little person. We have Roya here, who stutters when he speaks, but he wants to sing, but he's too shy because he stutters. And then we have Majesty at the bottom, this beautiful face. She has Down syndrome, but she wants to be a model, but she feels like she's not beautiful enough. So the subtitle here is I May Be Different, but I Make a Difference. And basically, Differently Able is about these four children who are venturing and going into middle school, and they feel like they want to fit in with their peers. You know, middle school, we know, is the most difficult time for children's lives. Boy, don't I know what middle school was like not too long ago. And basically, they're venturing into middle school. They're trying to fit in with their peers. And they're trying to make friends, but they find themselves the center and prank of everyone's jokes and laughter. Everybody wants to make fun of them because they're different, and they are frustrated, they are fed up, they are tired, they've had enough. It's around Christmas time where most kids are saying, you know, Mom, I want toys, Santa, I want toys and gifts, and I want all these different things, but their desire for Christmas and their wish to Santa is, make me normal for a day. Just let me see life on the other side. I don't want to be like this no more. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to have Down syndrome. I don't want to have, you know, be a little person anymore. I don't want to, you know, stutter when I speak. Just make me normal. Let me see what life is on the other side. So they get together, write this request to Santa, and they say, you know what, oh my God, we have to go to the North Pole and quickly deliver this to Santa, or else we're not going to get this wish granted. So they go on this magical journey with their teacher, Mr. Arthur, who understands their struggles, and he's their support system there, their teacher, and they go on this magical journey quest to the North Pole. And when they get there, they're met by an elf who grants their request from Santa, and they see life on the other side. But when they get there and they go through those doors to see life on the other side, they realize, you know what, behind these golden doors on this other side, life isn't as grand as we thought it would be, and life is not what we imagined it would be on this side. And we life was more simple when we were who we were, and we're different because we make a difference. And it's such a beautiful story because oftentimes, you know, the question leaves you after you read this story is, what is normal? You know, what does that mean? You know, and it's learning how to embrace who you are as these beautiful, beautiful children go on this quest of self-love, acceptance, loving who they are, and know that they're different because they make a difference. So I'm going to read a couple of pages of this book, and then I'm going to get off of here because I don't want to talk y'all's ears off, but I get excited talking about my books. And I'm so blessed and honored to be able to share this on Beautiful Readers. So I'm going to share a couple of pages, and then I'm going to leave y'all with the cliffhanger so you guys can be like, you know what, I got to pick up this book and read it to see what's going to happen next. So, it's 3 days before Christmas at school, and many are excited at Ordinary Lane Middle School. For many, it's a time to receive gifts and toys, but for some, it's difficult because things have remained the same. And I'll show you guys a little bit of the picture. They're so beautiful. King, Royal, Adore, and Majesty are all 12 years old and attend Ordinary Lane Middle School. They get off the bus and walk down the hall to class. As they walk through the school hallway, the mean kids begin to point, laugh, and tease them as they walk past. Mr. Arthur teaches 6th grade. To get the students into the Christmas spirit, Mr. Arthur painted his classroom with snowmen, Christmas lights, reindeers, and a golden star. He wanted to remind each of them who they are. And that's a little bit of them. And that's them being teased in the hallway. And that's them in the class. So King sits in the corner quiet and alone playing board games. He has a wheelchair because he has muscular dystrophy and he is unable to walk on his own. As King plays the board games, he notices a book with a black guy playing basketball on the cover. One of his favorite things to do is to play games or watch sports. Basketball is his favorite, but some days he wished that he could dribble a ball down the court. That's King. That's Handsome King. And that's who my brother inspired that character. Royal stutters really bad. He often hides under his blanket when he reads because he's ashamed to read aloud. Majesty has Down syndrome and is cutting out pictures of models from a magazine. She puts the pictures on a poster board that says, "I wish that she was me." So that's Royal reading, and that's Majesty cutting out pictures. Adore has dwarfism. She often becomes frustrated. She cries and says, "Life isn't fair." Mr. Arthur was filled with excitement but felt the tension and sadness in the room. So he gathered the students around to share exciting news to help lighten the mood. That's Adore struggling to get in her chair. And that's Mr. Arthur and the kids surrounding him on the carpet. "Ho, ho, ho, I have news to share," said Mr. Arthur. "We must start our Christmas wish list because Christmas is approaching. We don't have much time to waste." What do you mean?" stutters Royal as he covers his face with his secret blanket. Majesty yells out, "I stopped asking Santa for things last year when he sent me a jacket. I thought that it would make the other kids like me, but it made them tease me even more. No matter what we do, no one wants to be friends with me, King, Majesty, or Adore." Mr. Arthur replied, "The endless possibilities. Nonsense. Fear will only limit you from being all that you can be. Where is your imagination? Your life is full of endless possibilities." Adore replied, "Can Santa make me normal size with longer legs and arms? Will the people stop staring at me and comparing me to animals on the farm? Will I be able to walk, jump, and run and not be stuck to this chair?" King asked. "We go through the same thing every year, so what joy could this holiday season possibly bring?" And that's them imagining themselves in their different looks. Mr. Arthur replied, "It's all about your faith, and if you truly believe, it may provide you with the healing that you're looking to receive. This year, I want you to write from the heart about what will bring you joy. Maybe it's just being normal or making friends instead of receiving presents and toys." Remember, whatever you put on the list, you must believe in order for it to come true. You must also be prepared for the outcome, even if it doesn't satisfy you. The kids head to lunch as they think about what Mr. Arthur said. They all try to fake a smile with thoughts running through their heads. The cafeteria room is full of many kids who are already seated. Royal sings as he walks over to sit near a boy who thought that he was signaling him from across the room as the boy becomes heated. That's them at the lunch table. A couple of more pages, and then I'll be done. Hey, find your own table, creep, as he pushes Royal to the floor. The kids begin to laugh and tease as Royal covers his face with his secret blanket. He gets up and storms through the door. Adore likes Colin, so she struggles with her short legs to sit at the table next to him. He laughs at her and then says, I only like girls who are normal height. He gets up, he steals her lunch tray, and yells, talk to me when you grow full size. Adore yells, why would you do that? That was my only lunch for the day. Poor kids. King finds a table as he pulls up and asks, anybody watch the game last night? There were some good plays. The kids who were sitting quickly hopped up and laughed while replying, go away. Adore cries in the bathroom, and then suddenly she pauses as she hears another girl crying in the bathroom stall while she's standing by the sink. She opens the bathroom stall door and sees Majesty covered in mustard as a result from a joke of a lunchtime prank. Majesty cries and shouts, there's got to be more than life than this. Adore replies, I think we have the answer to what we need for this year's Christmas wish list. And I will stop right there. Well, one more page, because it's getting good. After lunch, all four gathered in new. Oh, let me show you guys the page for that one. Adore covered in mustard, and then I'm gonna read the last page because this one is good. It'll leave you guys. So after lunch, all four gathered and knew what to put on their Christmas wish list. Their desire was to be ordinary and normal for Christmas. They each wrote on their paper, maybe if we weren't like this, then people would like us. It would be easier to make friends if we didn't have to ride on the short bus. My classmates and I want to be normal for Christmas and no longer this way. Please make us ordinary this year so we can finally have a normal day. Adore looked at the other three and said, we must get this list to Santa before it's too late. Royal stutters, I can't be because my parents won't let me leave the state. We all must go if we want to be normal, says Majesty. Exactly, King says. We can finally take control of our own destiny. King replies, we must leave tonight. But how do we get to the North Pole? Adora replies, there's a map on Mr. Arthur's desk. Once our parents are asleep, we will head to the North Pole when there is not a person in sight. And I will leave you guys with that one. So these are my two amazing books, Purpose Pains and Differently Abled. Again, you guys can purchase both of these books on my website, www.deonteboldenproductions.com, which is in the caption. You can also purchase each one on Amazon. I love to personally sign copies, so if you go on my website, it's even better. Once you get to my website, Differently Able will pop up right there. You go and visit the store and hit the store tab. You can see both of these amazing books on there to purchase your copy. Again, you can also get them on the Barnes & Noble website. You can get them on Target website. You can get them on Amazon, but I love signing copies. So both of these books, this book is for $7.99, and then Differently Abled is for $14.99. Purchases on my website, of course, it's a little additional charge for me to mail it off to you guys, but it's not much at all. So I just want to thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I truly am amazed and honored to just do this. I met, I think her name is Miss Tracy. I want to make sure I say her name right. I saw your name pop up on my phone. Miss Tracy Wilson. Okay, I want to make sure I say Beauty Tracy Wilson, Miss Beautiful Tracy Wilson on Clubhouse, and she said about this 12-day Christmas sharing our stories. And I was like, what a beautiful way to just come on and share. If only 1, 2, 3 people hear this amazing story as an author, it's just our duty to be able to share our stories with different people. So I'm truly honored. I love what she's doing. I love the vision of just being able to get on here and share our stories and providing a platform and a group for us to be able to do that. So I want to thank her so much for this opportunity. I want to thank you guys who are watching. I want to thank those who are going to be watching later on. I would love for you to purchase one of these amazing books that resonate with you. And even if you don't, share it with someone that you think would benefit from it. Purchase it, send it to someone who you think would benefit from one of these amazing books. And I'm just going to leave it there. And thank you guys so much. Again, I'm Mr. Deonte Bolden, author of Purpose Pains, the self-help guidebook to help to push you from pain to purpose. And then Definitely Able, which is a children's empowerment book for children with special needs. A lot of people are getting something amazing from this book, where it's I may be different, but I make a difference. So I thank you guys so much for this opportunity to share with you all. I hope you guys have a blessed and lovely evening, a blessed and wonderful holiday season. I'm super, super excited to see the other authors that are going to come after me. I was watching the ones who came before me earlier today. And thank you for this opportunity. And I will go ahead and say see you later for now. And thank you for this amazing opportunity.